You're listening to David Burns
on BBC Radio Humberside.
Now then, as I say, ways to get in touch with the show. Tweet me, call me, text me, email me, grab me in a pub, grab me at a gig, or be hanging around in the shop doorway of Sainsbury's. That sounds wrong, and I really do apologise for that, but be in the shop door of my local supermarket, begins with S, ends in Ainsbury's, and catch my eye with posters and collecting money and Sainsbury's Charity of the Year, and I'm thinking I've never heard of this charity. We are now. The charity is called Aim Higher. Gill, Jagger and Anna Adams are in the studio. Morning to you both.
Morning.
Morning. I'll start with Gill, because it was Gill Spotted. What were you doing in Sainsbury's?
We were trying to raise our awareness of our charity.
Okay, it's worked.
It has.
You're on the Burnsy show this morning. Tell us about your charity, Aim Higher.
Its charity will be set up last September. 4 mums. All our children have autism. Some of the children have mental health issues, and we know of the problems that they can have with educational barriers. So we thought, why don't we all get together and help other families?
You've done well. The thing that caught my eye was, am I right in saying Sainsbury's had made you their charity of the year?
They choose one each year. I had to fill in an application form. It went to the vote. All the customers got to choose from 3 charities. I think they had 2 weeks to vote, and we were chosen.
Okay, and what do you feel it was about your charity that touched people's hearts?
We're a local charity, and there isn't any other charities like us around with children from 0 to 25, so it's a good age range.
I have to say that the thing that caught my eye was you looked very slick and professional. Your banners were good. It caught my eye. I'd not heard of you, and I thought, right, okay, come on the show and tell us more. So that worked. Your marketing worked.
Good. Good marketing.
From my sort of point of view, you caught my eye. Anna, how are you involved? Morning to you, by the way.
Morning. I'm a trustee of the charity. I also have a son who's autistic,
right,
and has other difficult needs. Faced a lot of educational barriers trying to get the right education for him. It took me 8 years of a hard-fought battle. I realised, as did the other 4 mums, Jill, Sally and Nikki, that if it wasn't just happening to us, and the more we got involved with other families like ourselves, all these other families was facing equally greater struggles and barriers.
Who were you battling with?
Education.
Right, well, the Education Authority or schools and everything?
Well, it's predominantly you start with the school, and you step forward to the school explaining what you feel the difficulties is your child's having. If they don't see it, then you sort of more or less push to one side. It's called.
So your child's got autism.
Yeah.
But was it not spotted then?
It was actually, for my son, it was spotted in the nursery school, and he was diagnosed very early on. But when he'd had the day at school, he'd suffer quite a lot of anxiety. He has generalised anxiety disorder, and he'd try and keep it all under wraps at school. But when he'd get home, it'd explode. It's called the Jekyll and Hyde theory, so that it can, it'd be able to release it in a safe environment.
Right.
But because the school environment wasn't seeing that kind of behaviour, they kind of then make it a parenting issue and push it back on you, that it's your parenting, it's not actually the school or anxiety.
So I'm fascinated. What did he need from the system? What was not going on in the system that's taken you 8 years to presumably get to a point where the system is providing? What was not being provided?
One-to-one support.
Right.
Person-centred to his individual needs, flexible to his inflexibilities, which he has now, and he's been back in education for 2 years, and he's got 100% attendance.
Right. And is he back in a specialist school, or is he back in just your bog standard school, as it were?
Well, we tried mainstream for several years, and he found it very difficult to navigate all the changes. And as they get older, the expectation of them is greater, so the demand becomes greater on them, which then provokes their anxieties. So he was never going to be able to fit in with a mainstream secondary.
Right.
We did try the specialist school in Hull, but academically, the level of work, he found boring. So he was sort of sits in the middle. There's a lot of our children that aren't really special school and they aren't mainstream school, so they need like a bespoke package of education that is tailor-made to them. So he now attends Options Group in Barton, where they can give him that bespoke package of education.
And who funds this? Because this a time when we constantly hear teachers and educationalists saying there's not enough money in the system. The government say no, we're pouring loads in. Who sort of funds this then?
Our local education authority.
Right, so they do.
Yeah.
But it took you 8 years
Took me 8 years, yeah.
Get to the point.
Yeah. And it's not actually our children that are difficult, it's the system. To navigate the system.
And it's maybe not the same thing, but my youngest child, my wife fought a long time, because he was dyslexic, fought a long time to get the system to recognise it. Is this a familiar story, Jill, with people whose children have autism?
It is a familiar story, but lots of our children can cope in mainstream if they have the right support. So it's not always about money. Some cases that we do need extra money for the education, but often with a few changes they can do perfectly in mainstream school.
Right, so is the system, the schools, slow to recognise the problem?
Some schools, not all.
Is that fair?
I think it's because they kind of operate on this one-size-fits-all.
Yes.
So,
which is easy for organisations. I mean, let's be honest. That you're dealing with a lot of children, and it's difficult, isn't it?
It is, and that's why I think where my son was concerned, because he had specialist kind of needs and needed something different. That's why the fight was so great for me. Reasonable adjustments can take place all the time within schools, and sometimes it only takes a reasonable adjustment for that child to be able to cope better. But there's lots of things that can be done, like maybe time out from the classroom and just a quiet place where they can go sit, especially if their anxieties are getting quite high.
No, I understand that. Jill, is this part of the aim of Aim Higher to try and sort of maybe put a little bit of pressure in a nice way on the authorities? You've interesting facial expression there, but
not pressure as such. We just want to empower families so that they know what's out there and what they can achieve. Because some families just, if they're told one thing, say by a teacher, they'll just take it a professional's told them and that's it. But we like them to know what they are actually eligible for within the law, so we would empower them really to get everything they can for their child, and
to fight and ask questions and say, no, actually this is what they're meant to be providing. It may be inconvenient within the system, but this legally is what should be doing. I'm aware of these sort of fights. Where do people come to find out about more about Aim Higher?
We're on the internet at www.aimhigher.online. We're on Facebook, but the website's probably the easiest place. They can contact us through there. We've got a great inclusive family fun day coming up on Bank Holiday Saturday on the 26th. That's in Hornsey. We need bands as well.
Do you? So if there are any bands listening out there, what was the date again?
26th. It's the Bank Holiday Saturday.
Right, okay.
And it's Holgarth.
If you're out Hornsey way, or even if you've got a van and can get out to Hornsey and you fancy performing to an appreciative crowd, doing it for Aim Higher, a good charity, then do get involved. It's nice to meet you. I think we'll meet again. I think there's a discussion to be had here.
Absolutely.
I suspect people will be sort of wanting to ring in now, and I'm conscious of the time. So maybe we'll talk about this another time in terms of how people, and I appreciate it is because everybody's centred on their children and wants the best for their children, but sometimes systems can be a little inflexible, and how you fight and what your rights are, etc., etc. I think we'll return to it. So well done for being in my local supermarket. Starts with S and ends with Sainsbury's, because you caught my eye, and the banners worked and everything like that. And I know you've not set it up long. You've come a long way since September. So all the best. And if anybody fancies playing out at Hornsey on the 20th, petrol. Yeah, oh, right, petrol expenses. Yep. So let the bands know. Nice to talk to you. Thank you very much for your time this morning. All the best to you and your children and everybody involved. The charity's called Aim Higher. See, it just shows I do pay attention when I'm out and about to various things that are going on and people are about. I think, they'd make an interesting guest. And I think that's Gill and Anna have just proved that from the charity Aim Higher. Bernsey, we're a team of 3 called Gazza's Goats. From NCS, we're raising money and awareness for the whole charity. We're doing this tomorrow for Aim Higher. which supports people and their families with autism and or mental health issues. We've got a stall on Friday at St Stephen's Shopping Centre in Hull near Tesco. We'll be having a prize draw, face painting, busking and pictures with Rory the Tiger. Any donations will be much appreciated, so please come down and support this amazing charity, which is run by 4 mums. So there you go. Well done to Gazza's Goats from the National Citizenship Service. I think I've got that about right. Bernsey, sorry, it's a bit short notice. I wonder if you could give us a mention of an event taking place tonight at Cardoma 94. It is a Hull Writers literary event featuring a panel of Val Wood, Lee Harrison, Nick Quantrill and Vince Groke, who's just written a wonderful book about Hull and Rovers in the 80 Challenge Cup final. The event starts at 7:30, a £5 on the door, OK? And I'll return to your Diddleham poems tomorrow because we've got a lot of stuff coming in. Thank you for all your contributions today. Back tomorrow on The Bernsey Show. Phil White's next.
You're listening to David Burns
on BBC Radio Humberside.